Trash taste, explanation for having Hasan, and the whole Hasan ban. I'll go in chronological order. So you guys know that Trash Taste got a lot of flack for having Hasan as a podcast episode guest. C-Dog finally addressed the situation in it's like an 18-minute clip. It's a nice, easy watch. And then I'll give you guys my thoughts on this. I've already seen this.
Yeah. Okay. Latest episodes have been bangers. We're just trying to mix it up and try different things. But obviously, occasionally people don't like things. Which happened not too long ago as well. But that's a whole thing. Yeah, you noticed. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, and a lot of people don't like this because the way that we handle it, and the way that you should handle a lot of these things when they happen like drama, is that just don't, sometimes it's just better to just not address anything and just let it just fade. Mainly because when things get too heated, almost, you know, no matter what you would say in that moment, people are still going to be going to be unhappy, or at least you know, the group of people that want an apology or whatever, anything like that. If you say anything, they're just going to be more unhappy and it just adds more fire to the flame. So that's why generally we're just kind of like, all right, we'll just let it, you know, let it die down, let them move on, let them get over it, and have their fun for the week. Most of the brigaders. Well, okay, look, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. So this is going to get clipped as well. I know this now. So I want to be very mindful about how I approach this. If I'm going to mention anything here, is that I think there are a couple of important things to mention. So I think, first of all, I think from our podcast perspective and from our perspective, if it is fair to say that if we don't engage in politics publicly, because it's just a mess. None of us live in the US. None of us are in any of these kind of intense political situations. I think it is also fair to say that, yeah, why would we bring someone political on? Which I think is a very fair and extremely very fair criticism of us to do, which I agree with. And then I think the most annoying thing from my perspective and this whole thing is that there were legitimately fans of Trash Taste who were unhappy. And it's frustrating because you can't see or like actually hear from people who watch Trash Taste or who aren't happy because it just turned into like a political dick swinging contest about which side, which is bad on our part because like we've never had any politics or any kind of talks like that in the comments. So I think it was kind of bad of us to kind of almost invite that. Second of all, the thing that was also very frustrating is that no matter what people were saying, there was a lot of brigading on a lot of sides, and I think that two things can be true at once. You know, there were Trash Taste fans who were unhappy, and there also was brigading happening, which is also very frustrating to deal with, because then it's like, okay, now we can't actually listen to any criticism on the episode, because both sides are jumping in, right? And, I even told Hasan, I was like, hey man, can you not? Like, it's bad enough that one side is doing this, please don't bring up the fucking episode and be like, hey, send people.
It's later,
and I was like, just be above this, don't do this. Because look, if people who have very extreme beliefs want to go crazy, I can't stop them. They can do whatever they want. But you hope that at least, another side wouldn't do that as well. So I told him, I was like, hey, please don't do that.
So he says here that he told Hasan to not ask his fans to go like brigade the comments instead, because he was making an already like strenuous situation even worse. But it's like, I don't know if you guys watched the episode, but literally the episode starts. They're not even 5 seconds in, and Hasan already makes like a kind of a political joke, something about his country burning. And then they're like, Hasan, we told you we're not going to discuss politics. And he's like, oh yeah, my bad. Like he's so brain rotten. He is like the definition of brain rot politics. Hasan is terminally online. He's terminally on Twitter. He's constantly fighting people. So of course, if you invite that to your podcast, you're inviting that too. It's like if I invited Vtuber to interview, and then there's a bunch of course there's going to be Vtubers in my comment section. You know what I mean?
But I think as well, I told Hasan as well, I was like, hey, look, the show is not political. We don't want to deal with politics. We're most likely not going to have you on again. No, and that's not like anything like, hey man,
yes.
It's just like,
but the thing is, as much as you want to separate them, you can't totally separate them that much.
Like, look, we don't want to fucking deal with politics. I think the Trash Taste viewers also don't fucking want to deal with intense fucking comments. It sucks to read. People just getting fucking upset as shit about it. And I know some like fans of Hasan will be annoyed about that. But I just told them, I was like, look, at the end of the day, we don't want to invite like a fucking shit show to the comments. And I think it was ignorant on our part to think that if we just didn't talk about politics, that it would stay out of it. Because that was our thinking, because we already had them on once. It was fine. Some people were angry.
And I kind of get that too. Like, you're like, okay, if we don't talk about, maybe with somebody else, but not Hasan. But I get that there's some people that are like, we have political views that we disagree with, but their main content is not political. So inviting them or talking with them, that's not the same. It's not the same thing. But Hasan is not such person. He is not such person.
About it. But yeah, I mean, it was ignorant on our part to think that, you know, if you didn't talk about politics, it wouldn't matter. But yeah, you know, a lot of things have changed in 2 years. I don't keep up with what's going on. You know, I get all of my news from the BBC. I don't go on Twitter. I uninstalled it. You know, I think all of us were kind of blindsided by it.
Oh, he uninstalled Twitter?
Kinda, you know, a lot of people like they're out of touch. I'm like, I guess, like, I think that's safe to say if being in touch is living on Twitter and engaging with politics 24/7, because we just don't do that. We've never done that. I think that it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
I feel like the level of vitriol is almost like at a point that is so like toxic to everyone involved.
So here's this part I wanted to comment on. I agree with him that Twitter is toxic. There's a huge amount of vitriol on both sides. And it's unhealthy, like he said, and good for him for uninstalling it. But it's kind of like I said earlier, I guess I'll repeat myself, but yes, they don't live on Twitter, but again, Hasan lives on Twitter. I've said this story before. There's literally like a clip of Miskiff talking about meeting Hasan IRL at a party, and Hasan was on his phone 24/7, and Miskiff was trying to have a conversation with him, and Hasan was just locked in on his phone, and he was like, he would interrupt him to be like, to show him a comment and be like, can you believe what this guy's saying? Can you believe that? And if you look at Hasan's Twitter, he's tweeted like 17 times since yesterday. So yes, even though you don't live on Twitter and you don't engage with that kind of drama, they have like a pretty clean reputation. They do like pretty clean content, quote unquote clean, you know, that's just how I call like, non-political content, I guess. Hasan is not like that. So yeah, they invited that to the podcast. My other problem with this, I mean, I think Connor is a reasonable person. I think he's really well spoken, and I really like him as a creator. I enjoy listening to his stream, etc. I enjoyed the Trash Tate podcast. My other critique of this comes later, because I feel like he blames a lot of people in this. It's like kind of put the blame on the brigaders. Yes, it sucks that he got brigaded, and blames the fans and the political brain rot, and how it's become so divisive. But there's one person he forgets to blame, and that's Hasan. Why is everybody getting blamed except Hasan?
No wish to engage with it, and so I just don't. I keep up with generic news, but I don't engage with any political spheres online. So it's kind of hard to keep up with. It's endless doom scroll. And I also think as well, I think it's really important to mention as well that I think some people forget as well, just because we speak English, and a lot of our viewers are American. None of us have ever lived in America. None of us are American. We don't keep up with what is going on. I already see too much politics from a country I don't live in, that I don't want to know. I see more about that than my home, the UK, which is crazy. And Japan as well. I get fed fucking more American stuff. I turn on the news, it's all American stuff. And I think it's also important to mention that I think that, again, there were Trash Taste viewers who didn't like the episode and don't agree with it and who are disappointed. And I think that's valid, like it's fair to be. But obviously it doesn't,
And I like that he acknowledged that some of his, that there are true fans of Trash Taste that were disappointed with that. That's one part that I did like.
Because we have someone on, doesn't mean we agree with every single thing that they would say either. Now, fun fact, because I'm sure people are wondering. I was keeping an eye because I was looking at what was going on. And I love looking at the stats because, I don't know, even while all the stuff was going down, I did find it terribly interesting to look at the back-end stats of what was happening.
Is telling Hasan to stop a way to blame him? Not really, but I think that's cool from Connor to be like, yo, stop that shit,
It was kind of interesting, I'm not gonna lie.
Like standing up to your
works
friend.
As well when you lose subscribers, by the way, is that it does it in increments of 10,000. And so sometimes some people, they love to be like, oh, they lost this many, right? Not entirely true. I can actually tell you the exact amount of subs that we lost, because I think it's interesting. And I think that it also serves value to explain that it is not just people outside of Trash Taste.
No, I believe also that I believe that he doesn't know everything that Hasan has done or say. But I believe that he probably knows that Hasan gets a lot of hate and that a lot of people dislike him. He probably knows that a lot of people dislike Hasan for the stuff he said, but he may not know all the details of what Hasan has said, because it's got a really long history, by the way. Like, I feel like I'm very aware of what Hasan said because I've been following this for 2 years now? It's been 2 years. It's been added up. I don't know if he knows all the deets. I think most people don't know all the deets. I think I probably know more than most people about this. But I used to watch a lot of content on that. So I think he probably knew something was going on. He probably knows some of the stuff that's made headlines, he probably knows about the Houthi pirate thing. because that one's pretty well known. Maybe all the other smaller stuff, probably not. But he probably knows, like, at least that one big thing, right? He watched Ethan's video? Wait, did he? Actually? Yeah, he may not know all the deets, but he must know, like, some of the bad stuff. Exactly. Piker brings nothing but trouble. Yeah, it's exactly what I'm saying. He brings nothing but trouble. You brought trouble to your podcast. Connor has done a lot of good for the community. Yes, absolutely. And I appreciate Connor's work in the community.
Did lose subs. I can tell you exactly how many right now. Let me find out.
Last I heard, Hasan did not watch Ethan's. Well, Hasan never watches people who talk shit him videos, especially not on stream, because that would mean he would directly have to respond to every accusation. He never does that.
We lost 4,000 subscribers, which is not a lot, but I also think it is disingenuous, and I think it's bad to pretend like, you know, that people aren't unhappy. So like, you know, I'm like that's sad. I feel bad that 5,000, 4,000 people who watch Trash Taste feel like they can no longer watch it. That feels bad, and that's a miscalculation on our part. There was also a couple of stuff flying around that was interesting. So first of all, a lot of people were accusing me of deleting comments. We're not deleting comments, we never have. YouTube has auto moderation, so naturally if you put the word terrorist in a comment, a lot of the time YouTube is going to flag that, because why wouldn't they, you know?
Okay.
You know, and there was some comments that are kind of crazy.
I guess that explains
you know, some of the language was inflammatory. Like, why is my comment being deleted? And they said like literally like the 5 keywords that would get you banned.
I guess.
One of the things that I noticed is that when I look at the comments,
I don't know. Sometimes you can also just write nothing bad and it still gets deleted. I've had some comments held for review that I had to like release, and there was literally not even a single bad word in them.
I would not scroll, and I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what exactly is happening, but I would literally see comments. You know, just watching the comment feed from the back end, right? So from like the admin side, some comments would appear. There were negative comments, which is fine. I don't care. That would have 10 likes within like 1 second, which I thought was like, huh. Because on YouTube, the most important part of a comment's lifespan is not if it gets 5,000 likes. It's if it can get a lot, like a 10 to 20 likes in the first like 10 seconds, because that's what will bump it up. So I don't know what's going on there and how that works, but that was the thing. One other also thing that I noticed that I will just mention very briefly, I'm not going to get too much into it.
Do you guys believe they aren't deleting comments? I guess I believe it because I feel like Connor is not the person that would lie, but that's like a super just, you know, assumption of his character. No, I don't think they are. They are. I don't care if they are or aren't deleting comments. Probably Hasan drones reporting the comments. No, they're not. I bet it's just YouTube filter. I believe it to the extent of them pressing the delete button could be also reports. Yeah, I don't know how Connor gets a pass. Like, I won't understand if you somehow didn't know this stuff, but it's not like clips of him saying wall stuff hasn't been blowing up. So disingenuous. They're deleting comments, don't know on the TT video, but on their own channels they are. Hasan did direct people to report comments on the episode. Allegedly. Yeah, it's not alleged. I saw a clip of him telling people to go report the post.
A lot of bandwagoning on it because people were, you know, loving it and people don't like Hasan. And so people were jumping on it and making videos about it. There was a lot of stuff that people said that was just flat out not true, and people were just making stuff up. Some people were saying like, oh, they didn't have this guest on. They said they were too controversial. They had another guest on. That's never happened. That's just a bunch of lies. So I don't know what that was about. There was also, the only things that were disappointing from me, my perspective as well, that like really, I was like, man, what the fuck? Is that people would then make whole narratives based around, because we had X on, that we then couldn't criticize any other creator. We can, you know, they're like, oh, you know, these people have changed, they're horrible, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, oh, okay, that sucks. That people are just making assumptions, but not a big deal. But yeah, no, I mean, look, the reason why we didn't address it right away, we wanted to wait, was because a lot of people were, you know, they were just demanding things. There were a lot of comments like, you need to delete this episode, where I feel pretty confident in saying this, where if you ask Trash Taste viewers, do you want them to delete the episode? I think most viewers are sensible. They would say, hey, even if I don't agree with this episode, I don't agree with this one, I wouldn't use it to delete an episode. You know,
I don't really care about the deleted episode or not.
Now, also, I want to make it very clear as well, in case you're watching this on YouTube, that because this is no longer a clip, that I'm sure that there's a good chance the comments, you know, might get taken over depending on how big this clip is. Please think for yourself. Please don't just read top comment and.
What do you mean Nux said it years back? Said what?
Your opinion based around that. Obviously, you're all adults. I trust you. What I really appreciated is that a lot of Trash Taste fans did seem to be just tired of people picking a side and being emotionally charged about it, and we're kind of just like, hey, maybe it's not for me. All good. Next episode. Or hey, I don't engage with this.
Yeah, and they lost 4,000 subscribers from this. Yeah, I believe that deleting the episode would draw even more drama. Oh, they refused to have Nux on Trash Days? Really? So they do care about having controversial guests. Really? They didn't want to have Nux on because he'd be too controversial? I feel like Hasan is way more controversial than Nux. That's at least what has been alleged. Oh, so it's not confirmed. Yeah, I believe that deleting the video would have caused a Streisand effect.
I appreciate a lot of the sensibility in this, because I think, look, we live in a time where everyone is so emotionally charged, and
Nux is too controversial in their sphere. Nux said it. Connor in this video is denying it. He said, okay, that's why it's not confirmed. All right, so we got two parties saying different things.
There's just so much rhetoric and so much, everyone's got an opinion, everyone's got a side. And so I appreciate that people sometimes can have a sensible approach to it. I think what you will always get from me is never a clear-cut answer. You'll always get an argument that I try to be as sensible as possible. I try to consider all sides.
Who is Gigak's wife?
Like a centrist or anything like that, or whatever, or any fucking thing like that. The reason I don't talk about my political opinions online is not because I don't have any
Oh, you guys think because of the Nux v Shoujo debacle?
political opinions. It's just because I just think that the online space does not get anything out of me talking about it. There's nothing to engage. I don't think it provides any value.
Side snap.
I just hate France, and I think that's a fair opinion. But, at the end of the day, I feel that the internet would be a lot better off if some people just knew how to shut the fuck up.
Oh,
that's kind of
they are in V Shoujo. Oh, okay.
where I stand. And so I'm of the opinion that I think I'm an informed guy, but I also recognize that the internet doesn't benefit from me sharing my opinion.
I mean, he's right about it. I mean, if it's not your content, there's no point.
And it's okay also to not have an opinion. I think it's also okay to not give a fuck. I think it's kind of fucking exhausting right now. And look, you don't always have to be on 24/7. I think you can tackle it your own way. You can tackle it in the way that you want. But, I was inevitably going to talk about this at some point anyway, just because...
I mean, honestly, politics also kind of get me anxious lately, which is why I've, even this Hasan thing, I was like, should I talk about it or not? But I feel like, at this point, it's not, dunking on Hasan is not just political, man. It's just common sense, right? That's how I felt about this. I was like, nah, this is just common sense. But the thing is, unlike them, because I am trying to stay more away from that, I wouldn't invite somebody on with really intense political ideals, which is what strikes me as odd. Yeah, it was a misplay for real. They probably learned their lesson after that. They got a ton of backlash, and of course, they were disappointed with seeing that a lot of fans were disappointed with them, because they had a lot of fans that was like, dude, I'm here to watch anime. I'm here to escape. I want to talk about something, not what I'm hearing when I'm going outside. Just the other day, I was literally at the mall and the cashier started talking to me about politics, and I was like, yo, stop. I was like, I don't want to think about it. So people are going to Trash Taste to escape that and to forget about that, because it's inescapable anywhere else you turn. And then they're like, excuse me, can I not have political ideals injected into my anime? I saw a few comments saying that, so I get it. I get why they're mad.
I want to talk about it as well. I didn't feel pressured to talk about it at all, but I thought there's a lot of interesting things to discuss, and I'm sure I'm going to look back at this clip and feel like
yeah, they should have asked him. They should have asked him about how the Houthi pirate was so similar to One Piece.
Should have said 10 different things differently. But I think the underlying point is the same. Of look, the Trash Taste fans are disappointed. Sorry, it is unfortunate. Are we going to delete the episode? No. If you did you unsubscribe? Okay, I apologize for that you felt the need to unsubscribe. But at the end of the day, there was we did not estimate what would happen.
And Anne Frank.
And then there's a million drama channels to jump onto it, and it's okay, this is just, it went from being the opinion of actual Trash Taste fans to very quickly becoming the opinion of certain groups who would just kind of rally around it.
I mean, I believe that part too, that all the Hasan haters decided to pile on, and all the the Hasan defender also decided to pile on, which exacerbated the issue.
People all come to chat, they comment and stuff, and they're like, hey, when are you, how fucking dare you? Are you going to address this? Yeah. It's like, look, at the end of the day, if I address it, a lot of these groups of people are not going to be happy with anything or any kind of response, right? If you say I'll delete it, a lot of fans who didn't give a fuck will be annoyed. If you say, all right, we won't delete it, then they'll get annoyed no matter what. And then maybe deleting's not enough for some people, So if you start trying to chase apologies, you end up just pleasing no one and just looking like a coward. Which is why when Hasan saw it and he felt bad, and he was like, hey, you gonna make a statement? I was like, no, I'm not gonna make a fucking statement. Who gives a fuck? You're not gonna please anyone by making a statement.
Funnily enough. It's funny that he said that, because we're here and we're we're also kind of picking apart his statement, and a lot of people are unhappy with his apology. I don't think it's not an apology, but are unhappy with his statement. I mean, I don't think I was too hard on him right. Like, I don't think I'm being too hard on him. I think I'm being fair. I pointed out some good parts and some bad parts.
Moved on. Look, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think the internet would be so much better if we had a bit more respect. But hey, look, that's how it goes. And you will engage in the cultural...
And you know, to add to the part of like inviting Hasan on or inviting somebody you don't vibe like with their opinion, or you don't vibe with what they're being saying. What matters is also the setting in which they're being invited. For example, if he got invited to debate, then it doesn't fucking matter what he thinks, right? Like, it doesn't really matter what he said, if he's a controversial person or not, if you're gonna debate them. But this is like, well, this is obviously not a debate podcast.
I'm doing everything in my fucking power not to, because I don't give a fuck. Because I feel like half the time, it's not even about like politics or anything like that. It's just about being right or wrong, or being on the side. It's just pure tribalism, man, and I just don't want to engage with it. It's just bad for your brain. It just doesn't help. I just feel worse whenever I read any of this shit, or when I like whenever there's like absolutely demonstrably false things being said. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? I can't engage with this anymore. Like, yeah. So look, and that's why again I want to reiterate that we told Hasan because we saw him reacting to it and being like, hey, get in there and stop. He was trying to brigade against people who were brigading, who they were. There was Trash fans who didn't like it, and those people brigading. I told Hasan, I was like,
he acknowledges that they were wrong. It was ignorant on their part. They won't invite him again. They feel bad about losing subs. I think Connor is reasonable. Yeah, I think he's a reasonable dude. I want my anime without terrorist sympathizers. I think that's the comment I read. I think that was a legit comment.
Don't do this. I think it's petty. Makes you look bad. I think it's pathetic. So don't do this. Don't tell people to get in there and fucking brigade it. I think it doesn't help anyone.
I do want to believe Connor because he has a great track record and is overall a genuine person. That's also how I feel. I think when you do have a good track record, it does play a little bit on your response. I do hope Connor will learn from this fumble. He's a chill guy.
So yeah, that's that. That's pretty much all there is to it. I think it's not gonna be a lot. I apologize to people who are not gonna be satisfied with me talking about it in this way. This is the best you're gonna get. I've genuinely nothing else to add. I wish it was more eloquent and I wish I had a script, but I think also these are the kind of situations where I think it's just better to be honest and just talk about it candidly. And also, yeah, that's it. No, I didn't have anything else.
Hey, you! Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell button, and I'll see you in the next video.